Welcome to Talking Point with Stephen Taylor. It's good to have you along, and today, privileged to have a man that I look up to in the industry in South Africa, Mr. RJ Benjamin. How are you, sir?
Good, I'm good.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, nice to be here, man.
So tell me about, we know the name RJ Benjamin, we hear your music on the radio, but we don't necessarily know that much about you. Tell me where you grew up, where you were born, where you went to school.
Grew up in the East Rand of Johannesburg. I'm a Joburger. Otherwise, we used to be called Valis or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right, Transvaal, yeah.
This bad thing. When I came to the coast, I was like, oh shit, they're gonna ask if I'm a Vali.
Vali, not that. No, that's a different show, right?
Very different, yeah. I grew up in a place called Edenvale.
Okay.
In a small town in Edenvale called Eden Glen. And Edenvale was a tiny town. It was like a farm, essentially. So I do remember seeing cows and stuff like that, in certain little felt fields in and around Edenvale. It was very interesting.
But you weren't a farmer?
I was by no means a farmer. I had a humble Jewish little family, and little because we were all very short people.
Oh right, that's true, eh?
I eventually became the tallest in my family, which was 5'6".
Wow.
But it was fine, In my family, I was like, I'm the big guy. Anyway, but so went to primary school, Eden Glen Primary, very much.
I've heard of that.
Kind of, I don't know. The East Rand of Johannesburg is as special, I suppose, as the deep south of Johannesburg, and the south of many places. It's a strange and wondrous place. And I just remember like veering into, let's say, the Sandton types of areas, which we called the northern suburbs. It was very fancy, and it was like far away when I was a kid. Yeah, absolutely. It just seems much closer. I suppose you move closer to those areas. And so went to school there, and studied music. Once I left school, I did spend one year. My mother didn't want me to study music, so I spent 1 year.
That's always a challenge, eh? When you tell your mom, "Hey, mom, what are you gonna do after school, RJ?" No, I'm gonna study music. No, really?
Yeah, I think she kind of knew. That's all I'd ever been doing, probably from the age of about 5 or 6. I mean,
really?
As soon as I could speak, I was writing songs and I was creating music.
So RJ Benjamin, did you sing in the shower?
I sang. We actually didn't have a shower growing up. So in the bathtub, I was singing. I spent so much time in the bathroom singing because I thought I was alone, and of course the acoustics were amazing, and I was creating songs. And
you got the echo, right? So you can, make
reverb. The ambience was amazing. I used to create a lot of songs while I would bath, and my mom and dad obviously heard me. In fact, they all heard me. But in my brain, I was alone.
Yeah,
no one else could hear me.
Yeah.
And I know what I would do a lot is I became very aware of building up like a catalog of songs, like how many songs that had I created.
Yeah.
And so what I would spend a lot of time doing in the bath, while besides cleaning, was almost recollecting those songs. So I would start with the first song I wrote, and the second song, and the third. And I mean, eventually, you're talking about 50, 60, 70 plus songs. Sure. And I think in my mind, I was just seeing, could I remember all of them? I hadn't written them down yet. And part of almost like my game was that if I forgot it, it obviously wasn't good enough. Mm. But if I still remembered the song, it's still a good song. And somehow, even then, and I mean, we're probably talking between 8 and 10 years old, I already kind of had a sense that I was going to do something with these songs, that I had some ability. I mean, it was very much a private thing. I was not one of those kids who went on stage and performed and entertained people.
You never took part in school shows and stuff like that?
Shows. Okay. My sister did. She was a dancer, so she used to do it, but I kept singing and creating songs and creating music was very private for me. So it was really just documenting my life. Each song was an experience of something that had happened in my life. Usually relationship.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But initially it wasn't. It was friendships, or my parents having a fight, or fighting with my sister, or maybe trying to copy one of my favorite singers. I had a song. I think my first song that I can remember was called "Life in a Mirror," and it was kind of like a copy ish. It wasn't a rip-off by any means, but I loved Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson. So I mean,
Yeah, that's a good song, yeah.
yeah, and that was about 87. So I would have been, not to give away my age, but I would have been about 8 years old.
Okay.
And
How old are you, Melis?
I'm 37 now.
Okay.
Look, in music industry terms, though, you know, I'm an old man. I'm an old man. Once you pass 10 years, you know, then you are part of the old man.
Some of those legends are like 60, 70, 8 years old. I mean, if you look at Leonard Cohen, I mean, geez, that's...
Oh, absolutely.
He's quite old, but I mean, he's still the music, and he still gets out on stage and does his thing. So there's still hope for you, RJ.
No, I believe there is hope, man. I believe there is hope. I think if you're looking at that, there are definitely things there are goals you want to reach. Like to survive in the music industry is difficult for anybody.
That is.
And it's no laughing matter if someone survived 20, 30, 40, 50 years and is still paying bills by doing music. So there's landmarks. And for me, a big one was 10 years.
When did you reach that?
I've been in the industry now for 14 years. So about 4 years ago.
Do you ever get tired of it? Do you ever say like, oh man, come on?
No.
Taken another journey or did something else? What would you be doing if you weren't doing music? What do you think? Interesting one, eh?
I don't know, man. Making burgers at McDonald's. I didn't have plan B. My mother genuinely thought that me doing like film after school, like she thought maybe.
Why film? That's interesting, eh?
I think in her mind at that time she thought that the film industry was, you could be more successful in that. I don't know why she thought that. I think it's just as hard.
There have been musical films, so maybe she's got, I don't know, she heard you in the bath and she's like, you know, the next lame is Robley.
She thought I was a bit of a clown sometimes, so she thought, but it was a total fail. There definitely is footage of me having done a shower scene.
Oh, wow.
As a body double.
Which we will not be showing today.
But it might be on YouTube. I've never looked myself. There was an actor named Rob Morrow. You can Google him. And I was his body double. Apparently I looked like him. Wow. And there was some American movie. And it was called Only Love. I know the name of the movie. I've never seen it. Right. But he refused to do the shower scene. And so they said, you are the body double. We'll give you some extra money. Will you do it? I wasn't fully naked. Okay. But it was a really cool experience nonetheless. Strange, but cool. And that was about the peak of my acting career. And then I was like, Ma, I can't do this anymore. Please, you need to let me study music.
So you studied music, right? How long did you study for?
I studied for probably about 2.5 years. Initially, I did study jazz. Felt that it was a little bit too jazzy, I suppose would be the best. I think the thing I wanted to improve my vocal technique. I wanted to increase my range.
So you learned something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I eventually found a music school that taught songwriting. Was quite holistic with what they taught. They taught jazz, they taught classical, but a lot of more contemporary styles. Because when I wrote songs, I didn't write necessarily only jazz songs. Yeah. I wrote varying genres. My dad brought me up on lots of kinds of music, in particular soul, a little bit of gospel, which was crazy coming from a Jewish family. Yeah. But that's what I grew up on. But a lot of contemporary stuff. I was obsessed with Michael Jackson. I was obsessed with Prince, and a lot of that stuff was the pop of the time. And so I wanted to understand how to create pop songs, and sing on pop songs. So I kind of wanted something that was holistic, and I got that. And before I could study further and get my degree, I needed to pay bills. So I started teaching. I started lecturing the lower grades, so to speak. Carried on with my teacher's qualifications. But as far as sort of finishing my degree, it never happened. And I'd still love to do it, but as the years roll by, it doesn't happen. I've probably got 1.5 years to go. Sure. But ultimately, I got signed. I started producing songs for other artists. I started writing songs for other artists. And it was a case of, well, I can't say no to work. I'm getting paid. I'm paying the bills. The dream of an artist is to get signed.
Yes.
Is to be in the recording industry, producing songs for other artists, writing songs for other artists, and being an artist myself, which I do, and I still do it on a daily basis, and it hasn't slowed down. And so I have absolutely no regrets right now. And just to go back to something you were saying with regard to, don't you ever get bored, or would you ever think of doing?
We're going to take a break quickly. We'll get to that in a moment. Cool. It's Talking Point with Stephen Taylor. We are in conversation with RJ Benjamin. We'll continue our chat next. Welcome back to Talking Point with Stephen Taylor, in conversation with Mr. RJ Benjamin. RJ, you still here? You enjoying yourself? You all right? Yeah.
I'm loving it, man.
Thank you for being here, man. It really is cool. So coming back to what I was saying, getting bored, I'm sure you have those days where you wake up and you go, oh, not today. We all have those days. How do you get through that?
You know what? I think I have more days of something I've gotten into, let's say, in the last 4 years in the music industry, and I think it was about transferring skills, trying to find ways to tap into the young talent in South Africa especially, but in Africa as a whole. And these reality TV shows are a great, music TV shows are a great way of doing it. It's just a great way of tapping into talent that I can't tap into just being in Johannesburg or just being in Cape Town. These are people who are coming from all over the country. And
I'm sure you're teaching them, but you're also learning something while you're going along on these journeys, right?
Definitely learn stuff, because I mean, I'm 37 now, but for me to understand, the kind of music that drives 21-year-olds or younger is important. And just learning other musical styles, genres, an artist that I may never have heard of before that some young talent exposes me to. And I'm like, wow, that person's amazing. Because that all influences you as an artist. Yes. These kind of shows can be ridiculously stressful.
It's long hours, right?
It's long hours. The deadlines are sometimes totally unrealistic. I mean, I had a situation on a show called The Voice Nigeria, where I was required. The last 2 weeks they basically release those songs onto iTunes, but they don't release, in order to get a song onto iTunes. So let's say I start work on the Monday, and then the live show happens on a Sunday. Now I only start creating and working with those singers' songs on that Monday. iTunes actually need the recorded songs on Wednesday at midday. So that means that I now suddenly need to, what I would usually prepare for that singer for a Sunday, and I have to have a fully recorded song in 2.5 days.
That's crazy.
Now, I would urge your viewers, and you if you want, to go and Google how long it takes on average to record an album. 12 songs. That's what we had to do. And they'll probably...
How long does it take? Probably not 6 months, maybe?
6 months. And here we're doing it in 2.5 days.
That's crazy.
And it was unbelievably stressful.
I can imagine.
It's a lot of pressure, and sometimes it's just like, I don't know if I can do it. It's just, I don't know if I have the energy.
So do you write songs for them, or the songs that have brought in, or it's a collab?
Well, look, obviously on these kind of shows, it's covers.
Okay.
But it's, I mean, the pressure's vast, because you also have talent that performed the night before. They're exhausted. But they also have to deal with social media. So they've already picked these songs. So because I have to sort of prepare the songs in order to start recording on that Monday. And what I find is that what happens on a Sunday evening is that they suddenly get told by all these experts on social media that they need to sing.
Well, they need to try this or do that. So
different song, and then
the couch
potatoes, but of course they're experts, and we all take them to heart sometimes, don't we?
We do.
So Monday comes along, and now I've got the singer there who's saying, I feel like I picked the wrong song. I need to change my song. Now, I don't have time for that kind of thing. No. I don't have time.
You've got a deadline.
But obviously they feel strongly about this because they don't want to disappoint their fans, or maybe they won't vote for them if they sing the wrong song. But there's nothing I can do about it. So you land up also having to manage these stressed out contestants who...
That doesn't come through on the song, does it? Or sometimes?
Well, hopefully not, but that's the thing. So you also, you have 12 people. Generally how it worked is I had to record the lead vocals on a Monday. There's so many other things you have to do between Monday and Wednesday midday that I had to record their lead vocals on a Monday.
Sure.
Now, 12 people, you work that, it's already 12 hours if it's only an hour each. And usually people take about 3 hours to record what they have to record.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. It was absolutely insane. And at the time you kind of like, I can't believe I'm doing this. How am I going to get through this? And somehow you get through it. And you look back and you're like, wow, that's great. I did an amazing job. But at the time, you certainly are just like, I won't say I feel like being somewhere else, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get through it. It feels like a marathon at the time. But the advantage of these shows is it's given me less pressure, financially speaking,
because you've got a steady, stable income.
I've created a stable income. It means that I can now create music that I enjoy making. The advantage of that is that your listener is not listening to contrived music, and your listener is listening to something that you believe in. You know, because I think so often the pressure of having a hit, the pressure of you feeling like your song has to playlist on radio and on every radio station and everyone must love it.
It's not that stressful anymore.
I don't have that pressure now, man. I'm just like, oh, you enjoy it? You don't enjoy it? It's fine.
The cover that you did do was Oasis Wonderwall. Tell me about that. You have to get permission and stuff. How does it work?
You do have to get permission. I mean, sometimes it can be an absolute nightmare. It depends. Like the general process is you would obviously have to find the label that...
the Gallagher brothers, they wrote that themselves, right?
They wrote that themselves. You wouldn't necessarily have to communicate with the Gallagher brothers. You'd have to communicate with their publishers.
All right.
Who probably already know whether or not they're going to give you permission to do it or not. Now there's quite a few covers of Wonderwall. There's Ryan Adams, I think his name is.
Yeah.
There's a very, very famous cover version he did.
I think your version was good. I enjoyed it.
Look, I think my version's the best.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so, but I think it's quite easy to get permission for certain songs. Some people, I mean, you will pay a lot of money for maybe a Michael Jackson song or a Stevie Wonder song. Depends.
You have to pay for that, right, or not really?
I didn't have to pay for that, thankfully. So it was a good choice. A good choice. And look, it happened pretty organically. My manager at the time, a guy named Kaz Abrams, we were busy working on songs for my first album, and we liked the song Cruisin' by Smokey Robinson, but in particular there was a D'Angelo version of that song which we both loved. So I was playing around with sort of the chords of the song, and I was playing it, and he started singing this melody, and because we were trying to create something new, but the melody he was singing basically sounded like he was, without realizing it, he was singing Wonderwall, and I was so I looked at him and I said, yeah, that melody already exists. You're singing, you know that song by Oasis, Wonderwall? And he was like, oh. It happened a lot when he was trying to sort of...
That's how it came about, you doing the song.
Well, exactly. So at that point, I don't know who said it, but it was definitely a situation of, well, why don't we try singing Wonderwall over these chords? You know, so like Wonderwall meets D'Angelo's Cruisin'.
Yeah.
That was essentially the concept.
You did bring a different style to it, which was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to put in like a soul, jazzy, exactly.
Yeah. I like it, man.
And that's how it came together. So it was essentially, it was Wonderwall, but done in the style of D'Angelo Cruisin', something like that.
It's difficult to listen to a cover and see it as a song on its own. I find that very difficult because, I mean, good luck, I've just done London Beats, I've been thinking about you. And when I first heard it, I was like, no, you can't. But then I hear it now and I listen to it as a song on its own, forgetting the cover, that it is a cover. And it's a good song. Yeah, you have to listen to it in an individual way without,
well,
give it its own merit.
And if that song can actually break through that barrier, then it's job well done. You know, I remember when Ellie Goulding did that rendition of your song, Elton John. I think it was her first song.
Yeah, that was a good song.
First single. And I hated it when I heard it the first time because I was like, but it's so different to Elton John's version. I feel like that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
But then at the back of my head, I was like, but I kind of did the same thing with my rendition of Wonderwall.
Yeah.
And a key for me in being in covering a song well is not to try and copy that song.
No.
because then that's karaoke.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, when you cover a song, you want to give it your own thing. You want to give it its own identity. Otherwise, it's not going to be memorable, because people will always then say, you're trying to copy
That's just
the original.
the cover of the original, yeah.
You've actually got to make it unique, and you've got to make it your own. So if you can do that, then it'll break through.
Listen, man, I know we can sit here all day. We've got Martin Myers going to come on just now, chat about Music Exchange. I know that you're involved with that. Yeah. We'll chat to him more about that. Listen, we have to get you back, man, to chat more. It's just been amazing. Time goes so quickly when you're having fun, you know?
Absolutely, man, absolutely.
RJ Benjamin, thank you, brother.
Thanks, man. Good to see you, man.
And you. Good. It's Talking Point with Stephen Taylor. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Talking Point with Stephen Taylor. It's good to have you along. Martin Myers, welcome, sir. How are you?
Very well, Steve.
A voice for radio and a face for radio like me. Hey, but we're on TV, so we'll just laugh and, just say, okay, thank you.
And a wonderful sports supporter, but we had to talk about one of my...
Do a show, just sport. I love sport, man.
Pleasure.
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah.
But you had to talk about our other passion.
Tell me about Music Exchange.
You've been involved, you've seen it, you've brought a number of the celebrities that you work with. It's about the business of music, educating the artists about the business of music. Started 6 years ago, it's in its 6th year this year. We've had people like Trevor Jones, world's biggest film composer, born in Cape Town, born in District 6, Last of the Mohicans, Notting Hill, Mississippi Burning speak. We've had...
Mos Def?
Like by the name of Mos Def, there we go. He made the news all over the world for all sorts of crazy reasons. Yeah. We've had Tim Renner, who's now become the cultural ambassador for the city of Berlin. Last year we had Brian Michael Cox, 9-time Grammy Award winner, sold over 200 million albums. And this year the focus is on South Africa.
Okay, bringing that home.
In particular, talking about 9010, which I think is a wonderful initiative, and that needs to be debated and discussed and everything else. But the conference is outcomes-based. So the keynote speaker is Sipho Hotsticks Mabuse. You had RJ on earlier. He was talking about being in the music business for 14 years. Wow. Unbelievable man. And he's also involved in Music Exchange, but we'll get to that now. Sipho Mabuse has been in the business for 50 years. I'm 52 years old. He's been playing music in South Africa for 50 years.
Wow. Burnout was a hit, eh?
Massive, 32 years ago. Yeah. Now let's celebrate that. Let's hear those stories. Let's hear what happened way back then to what's happening now, to how do you stay relevant, how do you keep current. Then we've got people like Arthur Goldstuck, who is most probably the foremost internet authority and web authority in South Africa. Yeah. His brother, Charles Goldstuck, who founded J Records, also spoke a couple of years ago. So the conference is all about outcomes and what you do. It's exchange. We have a table talk session where you're going to be coming to talk. How do you present your product to Deen TV? What do you do? What are you looking for? How do you get your product on radio? Good Hope FM, Mara Media Partner, and Cape Town TV and all those other channels. How do you engage with promoters? What is publishing? How do you write press releases? The whole thing is outcomes based. So you get to meet, you could be standing next to an RJ Benjamin, you could be standing next to Brandon Bakshi from BMI. They're investing heavily in the conference. You saw him last year, he's coming back again this year. This is the man who signed Ellie Goulding and signed Skrillex at exactly a similar conference to this. That'll be on the 8th and 9th of September at Grand Western Market Hall. It's a conducive space to meeting, to networking. There's a lot of food areas available, and as I say, it's on a Thursday and a Friday, and it's about the business of music.
You get to rub shoulders with people that you probably wouldn't get to see.
You'll never get to see. Yeah. It's 1,600 Rand for a flight to Joburg, first of all, to get a meeting with those people. There you are. So
sometimes you probably will never get a meeting.
No. So bring your 30-second sales pitch. Have a story to tell. Bring your CDs. Use it as a marketplace to get to people that you never will. RJ said to me earlier today, he's looking for talent. He's looking for singers. He's looking for songwriters. There's an opportunity. Sipho Mabuse might be looking for someone. Wow. You might need clarity regarding a certain legal point. There's one of the top legal practitioners you can speak to. Capasso are there. What do they do? What does Samro do? How do you write a press release? Miles Keelock, who I'm sure you know very well, editor of Rolling Stone magazine, will be there. Awesome. We've got one of the top PR consultants on damage control and damage limitation. When you put your foot in it, how do you get your foot out of it? What are the do's and don'ts? do's and don'ts in terms of social media and etiquette and all those type of things.
So it's 8th and 9th.
8th and 9th of September, Thursday and
Where
Friday.
People get tickets.
CompuTicket, 8th and 9th of September. It's a Thursday and Friday. Everything's available on the website, musicexchange.co.za, or you can just look at the hashtag MEX16 and you'll find all the information there. Program is being uploaded as we speak at the moment, and we look forward to seeing you there on the 8th and 9th of September.
I will be there. Martin Myers, thank you, my friend.
Always a pleasure.
We'll get you back, brother. It's Talking Point with Stephen Taylor, another show done and dusted. Wow. We could sit here all day chatting about the amazing stuff, man. Get involved with the show at Stephen Taylor SA on Facebook and Twitter, and of course, facebook.com/Talking Point. Apparently people said I should smile. So there we go. Have a good one. Take it easy. We'll catch you back next time, same place. Bye-bye.